Hey everybody, Handy Matt here. It's been a while since I put a video up, but what I wanted to do is start a new series for some fishing videos. Now if you're like me, you've been on Google, you've been on YouTube, and you've looked up tips, tricks, anything to help you catch more fish. Well, you're probably a lot like me in the same way that you don't have the $600 to $1,000 and an $80,000 bass boat that a lot of these guys making these videos. I mean, these are professional guys. They throw a lot of information at you, and they've got all the best gear and all the tricks in the world. Well, we don't have that. We got to make do with our $40 ugly sticks and our $30 reels. So what I want to make is a short video series to showcase and highlight some of my favorite methods and things that you're going to have in your tackle box and you're going to be able to do. So I'm going to call this series The Weekend Warrior Guide to the Average Fisherman. So for this first episode, we're going to work on the drop shot, which is my go-to, it's my favorite. And I have here pre-rigged up two variations that you're going to see for drop shots. So let me get this in here nice and close. Now, these are the two most common you're going to see. Okay, so over here I got a 5/0 offset hook. This is something that you're going to be able to Texas rig a worm on, and I'll have them rigged, and I'll do an example of that in a minute. And over here is a 2/0. These are often called mosquito hooks, right? Let me make sure you get a good look at that guy. Now these give you a little more options when you're fishing. You can rig multiple ways with this and get some different presentation. This guy here is something you're going to fish if you're throwing into grass, heavy cover, things where you're going to get hooked up a lot. Because the way you're going to rig on this, you're going to put a Texas rig on this, so you're not going to get hung up as much. And this is something that you can present more with a swim bait or a wacky rig, or you can open nose hook it, or you can nose hook it with the worm hiding the tip there. And we'll talk more about the weight setup. I just have this on here so you can get an idea of when someone says drop shot, this is what they're talking about. A hook with a tag line coming down on a weight hung below it. And there's different heights of work on that. So let me rig some worms on here, and we'll kind of show you the different variations you can get on this. So here's our first setup I've got. This is my Texas rig worm on this drop shot. You know, you can use any size you're comfortable with, depending on your fishing conditions. I just threw this bigger hook on here, so it'll show up better on the video. But so you can see we're just pretending that my fingers here is the line going with the pole. Okay. So your standard Texas rig, you know, if you're bass fishing at all, you should know how to do this. If not, comment below. I can make another video and explain it more in detail. I do mine with the hook, you know, exposed and flat against the worm. The fish is going to bite that worm down. But I'm talking about the drop shot here. So the weight, when I do my drop shot, I leave a 2-foot tag line. So I'm using a Palomar Knot on my hook, and then these are clip-on, these cylinder weights. I use a 3/16 ounce in most conditions. These are great because, you know, if you get a little snag on a rock, they're gonna pull through the line, so you're not going to lose it every time. You can usually shake them, or if you do lose it, you're only losing this weight. You're not losing your whole rig. It's easy to clip that on. So with the tag line, it's going to be based on your conditions. You know, if you're fishing some grass, something where you want a lot of movement out of this drop shot, you're going to want it longer. So the idea of a drop shot is that you're coming across the surface here. You let that weight sit on the bottom, and what's going to happen is now that lure is going to sink, and it's going to do its little flutter dance down to the ground. So you can actually sit here and now you can work a lure without having to pull your weight off. You got all that distance, so you can dance this around the strike zone. If there's some grass, weeds, rocks, and nests that you're trying to entice a bass out of, you can play within that area. And then if that's not working, you jig it on out of there, let the weight drop somewhere else, and you replay that whole game. So, you know, I think this is real versatile when you've got light cover, or if you're dancing around stumps, or if you've got a grassy bottom. You get a lot more hits, I feel, out of this soft presentation without bouncing that weight up and down. So now this setup is a little more versatile with this mosquito hook, because what you can do with this, as you can see, I have it nose hooked in a way here where just the tip of the hook is coming out. This makes it for a really pretty presentation. A lot of flutter, and as you're moving it, it'll get a nice little swim motion to it. it just presents a little more natural. Now, if you don't like that setup, you can also just do your traditional nose hook, but you're going to go right through and just let that sit with the hook completely open. This works as well too. You get a little side-to-side motion on that. Some people have one preference over the other. I don't find that one catches more or less. And then, of course, last is your wacky rig, which this isn't really a worm for wacky rigging, but just for a visual, your wacky rig right down the middle, they're worms specifically made for this, trick worms, things that are balanced. And you get the same effect with this, so you're working across the bottom. This mosquito rig, or mosquito hook, setup would be something I would use more often if I'm working something faster with a rocky bottom where I don't have a lot of stuff I'm going to get snagged on. If I'm working a ledge, a shelf, not working around foliage or tree stumps or fallen branches, things like that. Or if I want to pull a swim bait or a worm with a paddle tail, a swim style worm, I find this is a little more versatile, and the smaller hook means you're going to catch more fish. You'll catch smaller fish with it, but I mean, honestly, I'd rather catch little fish than get skunked. So I'm going to, from scratch, rig one of these. I'll show you the knot I use, the Palomar knot for the hook. I'll show you how to run the tagline. So let's do that next. Show you how to set this up for yourself. All right, guys. Sorry, this is going to be awkwardly close, but I want to make sure you can see this. So I'm going to do this with my 5/0 offset. Okay, I've got some 8-pound mono, which is another thing you hear the pros talk about, their 30-pound braid to a 12-pound fluoro leader. We're not doing that crap. We want simple line that we can put on and fish with, and I find that this 8-pound trilene, this stuff right here, it's dirt cheap. You can get it anywhere, lasts a long time. If you snap it off, have to throw it away, it's not a huge loss. Anyway, all right, so we're gonna start with a Palomar knot. You can Google this and get like a diagram. Maybe I'll post a link to a good picture one if I can find it. But so the way a Palomar knot works is your line coming down from your pole, you're going to take a double, okay? So you're going to fold that, fold that line so you're holding two, you've got this nice loop here, okay? You got to get that loop nice and small at the end, okay? So you got a little loop there. You're going to take your hook and you're going to feed that through the hook end. So you're going to feed it down. This is going to be the top of the hook, okay? This is going to be the bottom of the hook for this demonstration. So you're going to feed it from the top side of the eye. If I can get it in there. There you go. Okay. So we've got it through the top of the eye. Pull yourself through 3-4 inches, okay? And you're essentially going to tie a square knot, okay? So this is what you should be looking at with your loop on the bottom side, okay? And now you're going to tie yourself a square knot, and don't pull it tight, okay? You're going to feed that loop through, and once you have that loop through, you're going to pull that out far enough, okay? So see what I've got here now? So I've got the loop, I've got this square knot tied, and you are going to pull the hook. So you're going to loop this over the top of the hook, you're going to pull it all the way over and back up to your knot. Now you're going to pull it tight. So you want to watch out here and make sure you actually get that loop over the top. You don't want it to get pulled through the notch in the the notch in the eyelet there. So make sure that's over the top. Pull that nice and tight. Pull your the line from the pole side. Pull the tag end side. Okay. So now this is what you've got. Well, you still need this hook to stand up straight on the line. You want it to stand and stick straight out. So take the bottom end of your line, the line that's going down into the water where your weight's going to attach. I usually leave myself a 2-foot leader, because with a 2-foot leader you can move that weight around a lot and get yourself in any position. So you're going to take that line, come back up to the top side of the hook, and you're going to feed it right through that eye. You're going to run it all the way down, pull it through, and when you get that loop, you're going to use it. Now you see how the knot is sitting off here to the side? So you're going to pull that tag line through, and it's going to pull that knot right past the eye. So now what you have is a hook that stands up straight when the line is taut. Sticks straight out with the hook pointed up. So now when you put your bait on there, your bait is going to present exactly the way you want. And if you got a Texas rig, you're going to be weedless. So you know, like any Texas rig, the bottom of your hook is actually going to drag the surface. And then you're going to put your weight anywhere on this 2-foot leader that you want, depending on the depth. So if I can do this without freaking out my koi, I'm going to attach a short little underwater video just so you can see what the motion of this looks like when the weight hits and the worm's bouncing around. So the water's a little murky, but you can see you get a fair amount of free motion of that worm. So that's basically what you're doing under. That weight sits on the bottom and you've got all that space between the weight and your lure to dance that worm or creature or salamander, whatever you want to throw. I mean, this literally works for every soft plastic that you can hook to it, as long as you got the right color for your lake. Okay guys, so that's it for the drop shot. Now I am new starting this whole series of fishing videos. I'm trying to make this simple explanations, easy, things that I do that I know catch fish without needing a bunch of fancy equipment. This works off the shore, off a boat. So if there's anything I missed, something more specific that you want, or any other videos you want me to make, or any questions, I've got a pretty good knowledge of the basic techniques and tricks to get bass out of the water. Which is what we're all trying to do. So subscribe, please share my videos, and comment, give me suggestions on ways that I can improve and make this better for you guys. All right, thanks, and we'll see you next time.